Welcome to another video in the iOS MVVM series. So in this video, we will start writing some code and make the networking call. So the first thing that we will do is we will create some models that will represent our API response. So for that, what I will do is I'll open my browser. I'll just resize the window and I'll resize my Xcode as well here. So we will be creating two models in our case. The first one is the recipe model, which will represent this object, and the second model will be this outer object, which will have this count and the list of recipes. So we will first start with the recipe model here. So let's do that. Create a struct, which will be a simple Swift file, and we will call it recipe. It will be a struct which will be of codable type, and it will have some types which will be similar to these ones. So let's create them. We'll have an ID, we'll have a title, an image URL, a social score, which will be a double, then the publisher, another string, and then we will have published ID. So as you can see that we have created this social score, which actually represents social URL. So I think while creating this API, I did a mistake. Instead of naming this variable as social score, I named it as social URL. So instead of rewriting the API, what we will do is we will use the coding keys enum to map this social URL to our social score. So we will create an enum, which will be coding keys, and we will have our all the cases here. So social score will map to social URL, and rest will remain the same. And now we will create our second struct as well, which will be another Swift file, and this we will name it as recipes response. And this will also be of type codable, and it will have only two properties. One will be count, which is of type int, and second one is an array of our recipe type. So this one is representing the outer object. So the next thing that we have to do is we have to make an API call and show these recipes in our view controller. So we will open recipes view controller here and go up, and we will just create a method in the we will call a method called get recipes in our view did load, and we will create our method at the end of our view did load, and it will be a private function called get recipes. So now to make a networking call, we will use our networking manager here. So we will use our networking manager. It is a singleton class, so we will use shared and call our get method. So here we have a bunch of parameters that we have to pass. So the first one is type. So this type is the type that we expect our JSON response to be from our API. So in this case, it is recipes response. So we will simply write recipes response dot self, and then we need to pass the URL string here. So we will simply just pass the URL string, and we will copy paste this URL here, and the third parameter is the completion handler. So when we enter here, it will return a result. So let's remove this browser and increase the size of this one. So you see that this is saying that call can throw error, but it is not marked with try. So if you go into the networking manager, you will see that this method throws an error. So what we will do is, in our recipes controller, we will just cut this, create a do catch block, and then call this. And here we will do our error handling. So fail to make API call. And if we do hash file or hash func, it will automatically print the function name in, and if we do hash file, it will automatically write the file name with error. So now we have made our networking call, and where we have received our result as well. So now what we will do here is we will create a switch statement and switch for the result, because this is of type result, which returns either a success or a failure. So we have to switch on that, and the Swift will give us the suggestion to add the missing cases. And in this case, we will just write response. The success will return us a response, and we will print that response here. And the failure will return an error, and we will simply paste it here. So now let's try running our app and see what response do we get. So you can see in the console that all the rest of recipes are being printed here. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we will learn how to show these list of recipes on the UI. Thank you.